Hi, this is Eric Teplitz, and for today's daily insight, I want to make a fairly radical suggestion, and that is this. I'm going to suggest that there are no objective metrics for measuring meaning and success. In other words, the experience of meaning and the experience of success, I'm going to argue, are purely subjective things. How do we determine if something is meaningful? Let's say a movie comes out and everyone in the world loves it and raves about it and talks about it being a religious experience and just being this most magnificent film. And then you go to see it and your reaction is, eh. So I ask you, is the film meaningful? As another example, let's say the outside world looks at what you've accomplished and labels you an extraordinary success. But you don't actually have that feeling of yourself inside. You don't have that rewarding sense of accomplishment. Are you a success? My argument is no, that without the experience of meaning, there is no meaning. And without a felt sense of success, there is no success. So there are a couple of points that I'd like to drive home in relation to this. And the first point is this. We shouldn't pay too much mind to the assessments of others when it comes to what is meaningful and what success actually entails or looks like, what it means to be successful. If you're not experiencing it for yourself, then it doesn't matter how other people view your life and your accomplishments. In a previous video that I shared recently on this channel entitled How to Build Self-Discipline, I made reference to a book called The Non-Runner's Marathon Trainer that I used to train for my first attempt at completing a marathon, a 26.2-mile running race. There was a point that was made in the book that I found especially meaningful, you could say. And that was this, they urged you early on as you're going through the book and the program outlined in the book. They really emphasized the fact that your goal should be, if you've never done a marathon before and you're using this book to train for it, your goal should be to finish a marathon, to complete the marathon. In the book, they advise you, look, for your first marathon, don't set a time goal. You can do that if you decide to run future marathons. That's fine. But for the purpose of this training, your goal is to simply complete the marathon. Because if you decide at some point that you didn't meet this new goal that you set, perhaps a time goal, then you can take what might have been one of the greatest accomplishments of your life, one of the greatest felt senses of success, and turn it into a failure. I find it fascinating that outwardly, people may appear to us to be extremely successful for whatever reason and by whatever standard we measure success. And yet these same people internally may be feeling deeply insecure about themselves and may not feel like much of a success at all. There's another point that I want to make about meaning and success, and you might not like this one. And that is, I would argue that one of the biggest components of determining whether something is going to be meaningful to you and whether or not you're going to have a felt sense of success in a particular realm is the amount of struggle involved, the amount of effort and the amount of struggle that you had to experience in order to achieve this goal and therefore feel this sense of success. If something comes incredibly easy to you, then it doesn't matter how much other people might admire it and how much other people might label you as a success or claim that what you did was extremely meaningful to them. You probably are not going to feel that much of a sense of it internally yourself. However, if you really worked hard at something, if you really pushed yourself, if you really stretched yourself in order to be able to achieve something, regardless of what the world at large has to say about it, they might completely ignore it altogether, that you might not get any recognition for it at all. Yet, you know inside what it took in order for you to achieve this thing. And therefore, regardless of what others have to say about it, you will likely feel a deeply fulfilling experience of success and meaning because of what you had to endure, or because of what you had to sacrifice or go through in order to get there. So I find it interesting that most of us go to great lengths to avoid the experience of struggle, if not also the experience of effort. And certainly the experiences of lots of effort and lots of struggle are not at all guaranteed to produce the feeling of meaning or success in the end. And ironically, that's kind of what makes it so meaningful. Yet, I would say that anytime we do experience something meaningful, and anytime we really do have a sense of success, it's unlikely to be there without having first experienced a lot of hardship and struggle in order to achieve this thing. An example that I like to cite from my own life has to do with my dating and relationship history. So, for many years, I put forth lots and lots of effort toward meeting someone that I could have a really fantastic and fulfilling relationship with. And my dating history certainly was filled with, not exclusively this, but certainly with lots of pain and heartache and heartbreak and difficulty. And, I struggled for many years before I finally met Samantha, the woman that I eventually married. And if I were to ask myself, would this marriage that I have now, this relationship that I've had for quite a number of years now with Samantha, would it mean the same to me if I had not had to endure so much struggle before reaching it, before finding her? And I'm afraid that most likely the answer is no, that it would not be nearly as significant and meaningful to me to have helped co-create this wonderful relationship if it had just been handed to me, if it had just come along with hardly any effort on my part. So the takeaway here is that while struggle and effort aren't guaranteed to get you the things that you want and to give you a rich, deep sense of meaning and success in life, I would argue that those experiences are, in most cases, dependent upon having put forth effort and gone through struggle. So if you are currently struggling with something, wrestling with something on an ongoing basis, really having a difficult time trying to achieve something, keep in mind that while it's not a guarantee, all of this struggle is likely to make the success, if and when you eventually reach it, deeply, deeply gratifying and infinitely more meaningful than it would have been had you not had to struggle and put forth so much effort. Ultimately, I think that we create our own meaning in life, and that it's up to us to determine for ourselves what constitutes success, and to not be so influenced by our culture and the opinions of others, even others that we care about deeply, as to what makes us a success or not. My feeling is that if you are doing the best that you can, and if you are putting forth great effort and even struggling and going through hardship, but you are living according to your values, according to your ideals, and you're trying to do something that you find meaningful, in my opinion, that is where success lies. And I wish you lots of luck in your pursuit of both meaning and success. If you like this video, I hope you'll hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more of this content, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.